Hi there. So if you're active in mobile app business or following the technology news closely, you may have heard about the lawsuit between Epic Games and Apple. And the court in the United States has taken a decision earlier this week stating that developers now have the right to provide a link to an external site from their apps. And at these external sites, developers can accept payments so that the users can unlock some premium features within the apps. Let's go through an example. Let's say that you've downloaded an app from the Apple App Store, and there are some features in it that are locked and require you to pay a certain amount to be able to unlock them. The traditional way of unlocking these features is to make a purchase through Apple's payment gateway. And each time you make a purchase in this way, a certain percentage of that purchase is actually going to Apple rather than the developer itself. And if you are a part of the small business program, which means that your annual revenue is below $1 million, then the 15% of each and every sale goes to Apple. And if your revenue happens to be more than $1 million per year, then you'll be paying 30% from each and every sale you make to Apple as the app developer. But if the user presses on this link to an external site and goes to this external site and makes the purchase there and comes back to the app, and the system in the background, magically unlocks these features within the app, then Apple will not be able to make any money from such sales because everything is happening outside of the Apple's ecosystem. This is quite a big deal, actually, if you are running a big company like Netflix, Spotify, or even Epic Games. But if you're running a relatively smaller company, there are a number of reasons why you shouldn't care about this thing at all. Firstly, the decision that the court has taken in the United States only applies people resided in United States. With other words, if you're planning to provide this link to an external site, you need to increase the complexity in your implementation because this link can only be available to users in the United States, and people living outside of the United States like Brazil, maybe, Japan, Australia, wherever they are, you may not show this link to an external site because you don't have the right to do that based on the guidelines from Apple right now. And the second reason is the trust. We shouldn't really underestimate how much people trust Apple's ecosystem. So if you make it available or possible to make a purchase outside of the Apple's ecosystem, let's say that we're running our application for the people located in the United States, we actually provide a link to an external site. People press on that link, end up at another site, and are going to make their payment at our website. To be able to make that purchase, they will need to bring up their credit card and provide all the card details, card number, valid until date, and you name it. In most cases, they will also need to provide the name and surname, and even in some cases, the address. So this is sort of a cumbersome process, and many people may not want to deal with all these steps to make a small purchase, actually. And it may feel a lot easier to make the purchase within the Apple ecosystem, where they have already trust. Since they've purchased Apple devices, iPhones, MacBooks, whatever they've purchased, they've already spent a lot of time because they trust this brand. And it is not necessarily the case that they will trust your brand. And it is going to be very likely that they maybe haven't even heard about your brand before, if you are not Epic Games and Spotify and so on. And the third reason is that you may actually think that you're going to be making or saving quite a lot of money through providing the possibility of making a purchase at an external site because you're not going to be paying any commission fee to Apple. But let's go through some examples. Let's say that the item itself that we are selling is $10 only. If our company is making millions of dollars every year, then our commission fee is going to be at 30%. So if someone buys something for $10, let's say, and we are going to be getting $7 because 3 of these $10 is going to go to Apple. And if we make the same sale at an external site and charge the user $10, the entire amount is going to end up in our company's bank account rather than providing any commission fees to Apple. But if the prices are the same, then we can actually question why people would like to leave Apple's ecosystem and go to an external site and make the purchase there. You may say that we can actually make the price slightly cheaper. we can't make it $7 because there's not going to be any difference here between making the sale through Apple's ecosystem, where we only get $7 out of $10 sales, and if we make the price of the item $7 only at an external site, we're not going to be making any profit, actually additional profit from this sale. So the price itself has to be more than $7 in this particular example. But as it gets closer to $10, then people will not really want to deal with this cumbersome process of making the purchase at an external site. Then we come to the next point. Let's say that our price within the app is $10, and we also make the same product available through an external site, and the price there happens to be, let's say, $8 for the sake of example. And the difference here is $10 versus $8. Yes, there might be some people who will think that it is worth to take this cumbersome process to save $2, but there will probably be a lot of other people who will think that it is not worth taking the risk by making the purchase at an external site. You may think that you have a safe system in place at your website. You're maybe using Stripe, which is a very respected and trustworthy payment gateway. Actually, a lot of people, millions of people, are using it, and you have implemented it properly at your site, and everything is safe and secure. But if you don't have the brand like Apple, people will still have a question in mind, thinking whether their purchase is really secure or not. This shouldn't really be overlooked. One of the reasons why Apple and the developers through Apple generate a lot of revenue is this simplicity. When people want to make a purchase, they just press on the price icon and confirm the purchase, and that's it. But trying to bring people to outside of the Apple's ecosystem is going to be challenging for most of the businesses. And again, if you are running a big company, you may have the resources to deal with all these steps and problems and develop the necessary strategies to be able to increase your revenue. But otherwise, if you are actually running a small business, and if you try to make additional profit by making the sales available outside of the Apple's ecosystem, you're going to be spending quite a lot of time, but I'm not sure if it's going to be worth the effort at the end of the day. Instead of doing such tricks with your products, I'd say that try to improve your products instead, and try to reach a lot more people so that a lot more people can download your applications and maybe end up purchasing some of the services that you're providing. Or you can also develop some new applications with that valuable time. But one advantage here that I am expecting is that the commission fee of Apple is going to go down further. Before it was 30% for everyone. Then later on, they started this small business program so that, as long as your annual revenue is below $1 million per year, then you are only paying 15% commission fee to Apple. And I am actually expecting that this commission fee is going to go down even further, maybe 10%, maybe even 5%. And if it becomes the case, then you're going to have a lot more resources actually to invest in your products, which is just good. As it looks right now, Epic Games has become the winner of the latest conflict between Apple and Epic Games, and they actually won the case at the court. Apple has stated that they will actually appeal the decision, but in the meantime, they'll be complying with the decision of the court as well. But as a small business owner, I don't think you should care about this that much. It's not going to change anything in your life. The business is going to be as usual. Don't try to spend your time on these details. Instead, try to improve your products and try making them available for a lot more people, which increases your chances even more to be able to increase your revenue in the long run. Yes, there is a conflict between Apple and some developer companies, but it is most likely not your conflict, or you're actually not part of this conflict. This is a conflict between Apple and the companies making millions, even billions of dollars every year. And if your revenue is not at that level, you probably shouldn't care about these conflicts that much. Thanks for listening. See you next time.